Hello everyone, this is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories. So sign up and be our next guest. So, good afternoon, Harry. Good afternoon, Dylan. And welcome to Panther, obviously. Pitch to the Panther, and it's your opportunity to tell your story. And I'm going to start with you, Dylan, on this one. I'm going to hand it over to you to kind of tell me a little bit about, I guess, how you got into and how you ended up where you are. And also, Harry, while Dylan's speaking, you'll have the opportunity to think about this, so you can really come up with a really good story.
He's got the good end of
without
the straw.
further ado,
Yeah, I'll let Dylan go first.
I'll hand over to you, Dylan.
No, perfect, thank you. And yeah, thank you for kind of inviting us on as well. Definitely a pleasure. And my first time doing something along these lines as well. I apologize if my voice does go throughout. It's a little bit croaky today, but I promise you I'm feeling okay. No, so I guess really good question, and one that it's almost like, where do you start? So I feel like I've had actually quite a varied career, but kind of mainly that has revolved actually around the property industry, kind of prior to what I'm in now, which is obviously the financial services. So I used to have a property company with a really, really good friend of mine who was a school friend. And that lasted, I guess, for around 5 or so years. And what we were doing was professional house shares, so HMOs. And kind of along the way, we had a really, really good and fun time, probably a bit too fun, too much. Took your eye off of the ball of actually what you should be doing in your young 20s. But again, that was part and parcel of the fun. Having extravagant Halloween parties and things like that when you probably shouldn't be, and you should actually be focusing on work. But again, like I said, that's part and parcel of the fun. But anyway, I digress. That took up, a large part of my.
I'm going to stop you there with the fun part, because you know what? Yes, you're allowed to have fun. I don't want to take fun out of living, so that's okay.
You know what?
Did you put the money? Did you invest the money? That's the other side.
The question, no, it purely went on those things that it shouldn't have been going on. But like I say, that is part of the fun part, which was almost like you always feel, I feel like bad for speaking about it some of the time, right? When the echo chambers that you can get in LinkedIn, where it's all, super positivity and productivity. But we had a really good fun time doing so, and probably made a lot of mistakes along the way. But what happened actually around kind of the time that our business actually was probably going a little bit dry, to be honest with you, in regards to our actual own passion for it, myself and my previous business partner. Grenfell Tower happened, which obviously was a tragic event. But what that meant was it changed so many rules and regulations around what we were doing. The best thing for us at the time actually was to let's disband the business, let's sell off parts, and let's try something new. So we've done that over a course of a year or so, kind of not necessarily a simple task actually closing down a business, but we've done that over a course of time. And it left me kind of in a space of, what the hell do I do now? I've been doing this for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's been quite one of those situations, like what do I do? At the same sort of time, and it's one of those things that I don't necessarily talk about a lot, but my mum became terminally ill, which was completely out of the blue. I was kind of in a position with her that she necessarily didn't have any financial knowledge, and I had a little bit from kind of running my own business, but nothing extensive. And I had a little bit of money, and I kind of essentially embarked on, for selfish reasons, really going down the financial services route to just improve my own knowledge, see if I could help my mum in any way at all. And essentially what that done is made me realize how little I knew, like genuinely nothing. even things such as inflation, I feel like prior to now working in the industry, I think everyone's got their interpretation of what it is, and I certainly did, but it couldn't have been further from the truth. So that's kind of how I fell into it, purely for kind of selfish reasons, first of all, for me and my mum, and then realizing, holy hell, there is so much we could be doing here and so much education that needs to be done around these things, especially around the protection side of things. So I think one thing which is really, really important to me is making essentially financial advice accessible to everyone. Because I think for me and my mum at that time, it was really a case of, we had no idea that we could access it. And actually, if we did, and we had a professional that spoke to us, that whole situation would have been very, very different. So I feel really fortunate that that kind of led me into the path I'm on now, and something that I'm really passionate about as well is actually helping others. And if I can help that one other person or people in the same position as myself and my mum was at the time, it's kind of like all the satisfaction I need. So no, that's kind of how I got into it, which is a bit of a
I'm gonna reel you in. Thank you.
Definitely.
No. Because I've got to hear the second part after this. So it's kind of like Harry's turn now. How did you end up coming here? I mean, Dylan's story is very unique, but he's not alone. You have those epiphany moments where you just go, huh? What am I doing? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? So, Harry, I think you had a smoother transition. You look like nothing scaves you. Go for it. Tell us your story.
Yeah, I've been told that many a times, but inside I'm always panicking. It's all about the front. No, I won't joke it. There are similarities to mine and Dylan's reasons for why we got into this, I suppose. So, but there are differences as well. So I had quite a unique upbringing where my dad is a financial advisor, and he's been a financial advisor for 35 plus years. Ever since I was born, he's always been a financial advisor. So quite unique growing up with a financial advisor as your dad, because I obviously had an exposure to the industry and the job from a very young age. So I'm one of
But I
four.
guess it's also changed, hasn't it? It hasn't been the same. You know, he must have seen a lot of change over the last 30 years, and you guys are now picking up from what is now left of what we're trying to make of a financial situation in society as a whole. So yeah.
Yeah, 100. No, 100%, 100%. I mean, he's like I say, he's been working like 35 plus years within this industry. He has seen a lot of changes, and a lot of things have been going on along. So I'm one of four kids, and I was probably and I'm the oldest, and I was probably the one out of all the kids that showed the most interest when he used to come home and ranting and raving about his job and talking about what went well, what didn't go so well, how the job is generally doing. And now that I think about it, he probably just used me to vent more than anything. But I was the one who ended up taking quite a big interest in it, and I'd be the one who would also usually talk to about work. And from quite a young age, I've had that exposure and at least know what the job is. And I've realised as I've got older, when you start having conversations with your mates, and conversations in the pub, when you've got a couple of beers in you, they start to become a bit more serious when you start to get older, right? And you start to talk about things such as your finances and what protection do you have in place, and do you have any investments and stuff like this. And actually I realized that I've been quite lucky in the sense that I've always known about this job and what this industry entails, whereas other people who don't know somebody, like Dylan alluded to earlier, not everybody probably everyone wants financial advice and needs financial advice, but no one knows where to find it or where to go for it, or maybe has a preconception that, oh, I don't earn enough money, or I don't have enough income to be able to warrant having a financial advisor. So it's all about, for me personally, that's one of the main reasons why I got into it, mainly because of my dad, because, he is my biggest inspiration. Before he became a financial advisor, he was a professional footballer. So he played over in Greece and in Cyprus, and he played against England at Wembley. So
what's Dad's name?
Gregory SAVVA. SAVVA. So he played.
Check him out later.
Check him out. He played against England at Wembley. So obviously, as a young lad growing up, I wish I followed his first career footsteps, to be honest with you. But I blame the injuries more than anything. We'll go with the injuries. But obviously, the next step was to follow his better career. Let's say that. So I had a kind of similar story to Dylan, where although I had exposure to the industry when I was very young, it wasn't necessarily that I saw myself doing when I was younger. So I actually went down a very different career path altogether, which I had a 7-year career span in the advertising industry. So I was working for many different media agencies where we would plan, strategize, and activate advertising and TV campaigns and stuff like that, which when I first got into it, it was London based. So a young lad coming into London, working for all these fun industries and these fun companies. Yeah, it was very exciting. And then as you start to get a bit older, you start to get the promotions in, you start to realize actually this career for myself personally, other people make a very successful career out of it. But for me, I just felt very unfulfilled, and I felt like I wasn't necessarily doing something that, felt rewarding to me. And that's something that I definitely, when I started to look at what I really want to do, going back to the drawing board and actually thinking, you know what, I've always taken an interest in what Dad's done. There is definitely an opportunity for young people such as myself and Dylan to fill a void within the industry where, there are, with all due respect, a lot of people at a certain time within their career coming towards the end of that. And it's down to people like us to start coming into the industry and start to fill that void that's being left there by a lot of advisors now. So definitely saw it as a great opportunity. And that's why I started to study towards the qualifications, which was definitely a job within itself, definitely with balancing the other career as well, and then finding your feet within the industry as well. So it's been very rewarding. And I feel like, similar to what Dylan said, different from what I experienced in my last career, you do get the highs of when a campaign in advertising goes right, but actually speaking to people, identifying, what matters to them, what goals they've got, actually putting those ideas that they have in their head as to where they think their life's going to go, putting that into a cash flow model or into a spreadsheet or even old school pen and paper, just noting that down, that takes the idea in their head and it turns it into a goal. And it's actually making them realize, okay, this is where I am at the moment. This is where I want to get to. I know the time period that I've got between there and then. What do I need to put in place, or what do we need to change or improve to actually get there? And it's seeing your advice that you're providing to these people actually come to fruition and actually have an impact on these people's lives. I'm sure Dylan can agree with me on that. It is probably the most rewarding part of the job. Yeah,
totally. It's that having, when the client has that eye-opening moment of, oh my God, I can retire 2 years earlier, or oh my God, I didn't realize this is what I needed to do. It's so fulfilling. And that's kind of, everything that me and Harry said. I think that's why we've kind of almost been on this journey together. It's hugely rewarding, and you can actually really make a difference, which I think is so impactful. And again, selfishly, you get a hell of a lot of self-fulfillment out of it.
Do you know what? Listening to you two, I'm ready. Where do I sign up? Where do I do the exams? Because I'm ready to do it. I absolutely, it's so refreshing when I listen to both of you coming from very different backgrounds, but yet having the same passion, same vision, and definitely the same objective to enriching other people's lives. And I think there's nothing more rewarding than helping other people, and especially when it comes to your finances, because I had another guest earlier and we were talking about how people just bury their heads in the sand, and so many of us subject. So many of us wing it, bury our heads, don't actually look at what we should be doing and planning and putting those goals in place. Because guess what? I can tell you 20 years goes just like that. And if you plan properly, when you plan properly, 20 years, it's a big, big difference in someone's life. And you guys are testimony to this. I can't wait to do this again in 10 years. And we'll see where we're all at and how well we've all done because we planned. And obviously helping other people do the same is so, so important. I want to thank you. How quickly does time go when you're trying to achieve something? And okay, I always ask, give me a quick takeaway, both of you. Anything. Harry first.
A quick takeaway. What do you mean by takeaway? Sorry, as in
just so people can go, right, 30 seconds, I've learned something.
Okay. A quote I quite like is that only a third of UK adults have life insurance in place. Now, when it comes to insuring our dogs, our phones, when we go on holiday, before we take our new car out for a drive, what's the one thing we always do? We make sure that they are protected. And the amount of people that I speak to, particularly those who have important financial obligations such as mortgages, who don't have life insurance, but they have insurance for everything else. We as human beings tend to have a tendency to not insuring the most important thing, which is our lives. That's what I would say. So it's just making people aware of that actually don't take yourself for granted, because the worst thing, although it's unlikely to happen, it can happen, and making sure you have a protection in place is certainly something to bear in mind.
Absolutely, and getting the right protection as well, because it's
exactly.
not just protection, because sometimes it doesn't always pay out. So
Exactly.
Thank you for that. Dylan.
I don't know how I'm going to top that one, Harry, but that was a very good one. I totally agree. I think one thing which I think, if I could just give anyone a takeaway, is that advice is accessible to everyone, and whether you think it's right for you or it's not, I guarantee by speaking to a professional, having an open and honest conversation, you will get something from it. Even if it's just literally airing out, your worries, that helps massively. And like we said earlier, Krista, I think it's such a big taboo speaking about your finances, and it's almost something we're taught not to do. But by having kind of a professional actually guide you and help you along the way can make all the difference. So that's all I would say.
Brilliant, guys, you've been inspirational. Yeah, he's topped that. You've been inspirational. You have actually made me think I need to probably look at all the covers again. Top guys, honestly. And I want to thank you for coming on today, and I really appreciate the time. So take care and say thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Chris. I really appreciate your time as well. Take care.
No, thanks, Krista. Really appreciate it.
Hello everyone, this is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life, and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories, so sign up and be our next guest.